Fantasy baseball isn't always about today. Sometimes it's about making that perfect stash for a championship run. But who are those players? Don't worry, because today Matt and I got you covered on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DonMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly to Matt and I, subscribe to us on the Subtext platform. You could find the link to our Subtext in the bio wherever you're listening, and all of our social media platforms as well. On Subtext, you get a way more in-depth experience than you can in these 30 minutes. A lot of cool stuff going on the Subtext platform with the season right around the corner. And, guys, let's get into it. Today, we kind of have it episode broken down into two segments. First, we're going to be talking about must stash injured players, and then we're going to get into some must stash prospects. And guys, as I said at the top, it's not always about today. Sometimes you got to think 2-3 steps ahead of your opponent. And Matt, who are some names that we got to stash? Who's up first?
This is kind of obvious. He probably was drafted, but quite honestly, you never know. And that is Clayton Kershaw. Let's look at his owner percentage. But 41%. So he's out there in 59% of leagues. Like, yo, you need to go out there and get him. Here's the thing. Clayton Kershaw is never on a decline. Like, his talent has not, or his ability to perform when he's out on the field has not gone away. He does not look like Jose Fernandez yet, where, it just kind of dwindled down and gone. Was it? Yeah.
That wasn't the right. I was going to say, that's definitely not the name you were looking for.
No, rest in peace. My bad, guy. Hernandez. But anyway, he hasn't depleted yet. I mean, he's only 36. His biggest issue has always been his back. It just always keeps him off the field. But when he is healthy, he's like the best pitcher of baseball. And last year was just another one of those situations. He had a 2.46 ERA. He pitched 131 innings and had 137 strikeouts and a 106 whip. Like, he is just the guy, and probably one of the best pitchers to play the game, in my opinion. I feel like if he could have just stayed healthy for a longer amount of time, he probably would have been like one of the most revered pitchers in all of baseball history at some point, because Clayton Kershaw is that good. So where I'm getting at with this take is, he's out on that waiver wire. He's an instant add to your IL. Like, he goes right to the IL. Just do that. If you don't have IL spots, then this isn't the move for you. But if you do, please do yourself a favor. This is going to be an instant boost. He should be back, I believe, late June or right after the All-Star break. So, to get that second half push with like an instant boost to your rotation is absolutely outrageous, and you need to add Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, Matt, I'm right there with you. To be exact, Kershaw got surgery on his left shoulder to repair a couple ligaments in there. He should be back, as Matt said, probably after the All-Star break. I think it's a great stash. He's out there in so many leagues, and as Matt said, in most cases you can just add him right to your IL. He comes back, you get him as your SP3, SP4, slide him right into your rotation, and give you around like a low 3s ERA, around the K per 9. The whip should be very strong. The talent is still there for Clayton Kershaw. Definitely a mustache player. Oh, Matt, I get the juicy one, huh? You spoiled me a little bit here. I don't always get to talk about him. Let's talk about Json Dominguez. I absolutely love Dominguez. Wound up getting Tommy John last year, but he's still super young. Going to be 21 this season. Was on the verge of a monster breakout. 8 games, 4 home runs after Json got called up last year. Hit 258. But you know what? There's a lot of power here. There's a lot of speed. I just don't know what the Yankees' plan is for Dominguez once he is officially, healthy. We'll see if they want him to play a little bit in the minors or call him right back up. But right now, Dominguez is only owned in 30% of leagues. So right now, you can just go out there and, if it's one of those leagues, as we said, just right on your IL until you maybe need the spot. But right now, if you can ride it out till he comes back, I think Json is going to, nice amount of power in that Yankees lineup.
Yeah, and every time I hear this guy's name, I kind of want to do the Jason Derulo, but um, it just always flies in for me.
Yeah,
But
no, actually, I definitely see it. Definitely see it.
I love the talent, not just because I'm a Yankee fan, but like straight up, like the kid has some serious potential, pop for a smaller dude, and speed too. So like he's going to be a 5 category contributor in my opinion once he comes up. So I'm excited. I believe what his timetable is June as well.
Well, see, that's the thing is, Riley Green's an interesting comp for Dominguez because Riley Green's already back and playing, and Riley Green only had the same procedure done maybe a month or two, before Dominguez. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was, soon. So if Jason's out there and swinging the bat and looking good, I mean, I don't see why he can't be back sooner than later. But
Yeah.
let's just see what the Yankees want to do with him. That's the big question.
No, I think he's an instant call up because I mean, there's a couple of factors, right? So it's how fast is Aaron Judge going to get hurt? Um,
Yeah, that's always an interesting one.
that itty bitty toe issue, and then you got you got Stanton, who's easily going to get hurt too. And if he's playing like duty and not even able to keep up the power numbers he was able to keep up last year, he could work himself right out of the starting lineup and be more of a platoon guy because Dominguez is only going to play in DH for at least a good chunk of the season. Now, if Rizzo also plays himself out of a position, he could end up at first and kind of Bryce Harper it. So there's a couple of routes where Json Dominguez can get on the field, and I kind of like where it could be. I would love to see him get first base eligibility as well. So that's what I'm low key hoping he goes. But anyway, Dominguez is a great stash, and you won't have to wait that long. But all right, let's move on. I'm surprised that Dom didn't save himself for this one, but it's Mr. Jeffrey Springs, um, the spring-loaded arm. Got TJ last year. Dom's bold prediction to win Cy Young until his dreams were completely crushed by TJ. But the dude's a really good pitcher. He started off the year pretty hot, even though it was only about 16 innings, but the dude had like a sub 1 ERA, like a 0.56 ERA through 16 innings with 24 strikeouts. The season before too was nothing to to even doubt on because he had 135 innings with a 2.46 ERA with 144 strikeouts. Like my dude was crushing it, and Springs really has all the potential in the world to be a contributor. Plus protection of pitching in Tampa for half his starts. Just everything about Spring's situation is good. And I love what he could do. And the only thing we're going to see probably on the rise for Springs in his first initial comeback is going to be his whip. So that's the only thing I think is going to probably take a little time to come down. But ultimately, everything else should be fine. I'm not going to say he's going to go have a sub 3 ERA, but I am going to say it's going to be a low threes ERA, and he's going to be cranking them out left and right. So Jeffrey Springs feels a must add. I think he's more of the second half as well. Somebody I'm definitely either stashing now or putting on the watch list to see when he does come back.
The timetable seems probably a little bit after Kershaw. He's more of the July, August timetable with Springs. As you mentioned, man, I love Springs. He made a lot of significant changes to, his arsenal. Velocity got up there, going into that 2022 season, and then looked even better going into 2023. Like Jeffrey Springs really figured it out, what worked for him, and took it to the next level. So, you can get an arm like this, right on your IL. And then once again, guy that could slot in is your number 3, number 4 pitcher, potentially when he comes back, if he looks as good as he did pre-injury. Only 18% owned for Jeffrey Springs right now. So Matt, definitely in full agreement. He's an absolute must add. But before we move on and we talk about, I'll just throw you guys, last couple of names. We got Robbie Ray and Shane Baz, and then we're going to move into the prospect segment. But real quick, I do have an ad for you guys.
Wrong button. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It is just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You pick more or less than 2 to 6 players and stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Exploring my skills on Prize Picks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to daily fantasy sports. With just a few taps, you can transform $10 into $1,000. It's easy. Prize Picks is incredibly user friendly, and you can make a selection and submit your picks in less than 60 seconds. As the host of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, I really got some great picks that you should really consider right before the season starts, and also for this weekend. Opt for higher than 5 strikeouts for Logan Webb in a single game. Choose higher than 0.5 stolen bases for Ellie De La Cruz in a single game. Consider a season-long pick, which you have to get in now, of 50 stolen bases, higher than 50 stolen bases for Bobby Witt. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks. And guys, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TVs all day? Have you turned down the volume with all the damn screaming? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you biggest stories without screaming and all that shouting. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or for free on Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, guys, introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As the season unfolds this season, rely on our dynamic content and get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. Subscribe now and elevate that fantasy baseball experience to new levels. And guys, you're really not going to want to miss out. Like, we're going to give rankings based off of this episode on the Subtext. We did it for yesterday's episode for watch list guys. Guys, you need to add now, later, watch, all this other kind of content that you're not getting on this 30-minute podcast. So check us out. It's 2 weeks free. If you like it, stick around. If you don't, I understand. But keep on checking us out. And if anything, it really supports the show and we appreciate it. So check us out. But all right, I did a lot of talking and a lot of bamboozling. But, Dom, get into it, bro.
Yeah. Let's hop back into, some of these more, mustache injured guys. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of dudes that paid off last year. Tarek Skubal was a big one that, I talked about a lot last year to stash. So you definitely pay attention here. Next up is Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray, we kind of know what we're getting. It's going to be mid to high 3s ERA, a lot of strikeouts. And honestly, his whip has been better. I'm throwing last year out the window, but in 2021 and 2022, the whip looked a lot better from Robbie Ray. It was a 104 whip in 2021. It was a 119 whip in 2022. So if, Robbie Ray can live somewhere in the 117 to 122 whip area, that's not going to kill you in today's day and age. And I love him going to San Francisco. Great park to pitch in. Hopefully can help him suppress some runs. Robbie Ray is 24% owned on Yahoo. I like me some Robbie Ray. And if you missed out on the Kershaw or the Springs, I think Robbie Ray is definitely not a bad stash right now.
Yeah, Robbie Ray, I'm not like the biggest fan, but what I am is I'm a fan of what he can do for my roster mid-season. The strikeout numbers is the thing that I'm really focused on. He can just give you a plethora of those. And quite honestly, if I got guys like Kirby or Webb or things like that, and I'm missing or lacking in the strikeout category, Robbie Ray could give you a nice little boost. I don't know how long I'm stashing him. I think he's more of like a
same timetable as Springs, like second half.
Yeah, so like he's kind of more like a watch and wait kind of guy. Like Springs, I might consider stashing all the way up into the fact I have to drop him. Whereas Robbie Ray, I think I could just kind of like wait and see. If I miss out on him, I miss out on him. But he's definitely a name you want to keep up here, drop on the watch list, I guess. And, just constantly keep him in your mind, because if timetable gets aggressive and he comes back sooner, it can be very valuable. But all right, let's move on. Let's talk about Shane Baz, another name. This is kind of a lot of questions. He had a setback in spring, wasn't able to pitch. I think he's just started pitching this week, if I'm not mistaken. And you have something to tell me.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it here. Like I see an update from literally 2 hours ago. I don't even think he's like throwing at the moment. I'm
So
not. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. No. He. Yes. He threw 25 pitches 6 days ago,
okay.
but I don't see anything else. Like the update I see from today is just like, yeah, he might miss the first month or two, but we're not sure.
And
So
that's not even in the bigs they're talking about. That's in the minors. So
yeah.
like he's not getting the call up right away, but he's a name we want to keep track of. Like I'm not stashing him. Like if you drafted him, like that's not a suggestion I would make. But I mean, hold him now. You drafted him. I'm not adding him to my IL and stashing him for the season because I don't know when he's going to come up. He might be September for all I know. Like there's a lot of factors, but he's a name we want to talk about just based off the fact of the potential this dude has in dynasty leagues right now. If you have him, hold on to him, and if you don't have him, try and snag him. But right now I'm just Shane Boz is a name you keep in mind, put on that watch list, and keep checking for updates to see if he's going to progress and get the call up to the big sooner than later.
Yeah, I'll say this. We talked about four, hurt starting pitchers today. I'm probably going Kershaw, Springs. I got Boz at 3, and then I'll take Ray last. I honestly think Boz is there when he's healthy. I think they'll throw him in the rotation when he's healthy. I don't see why not. I don't really think there's a reason to waste any more, bullets there with Shane Boz at this point in his career. Might as well just get him up in the bigs. They might even use him as an opener. I could see them that's a very Tampa Bay thing to do. Get him up when he's healthy, have him throw 2-3 innings at a time. I just don't think there's a reason for the Rays to hold him back anymore, especially he's going to be 25 now. Yeah, he's going to be 25 in June. So that's probably around the time we see him. But Shane Baz, I think, is a decent stash. The talent's there. Guy has really elite stuff. Good fastball, throws a slider and curve that are decent too. Mixes in a changeup every once in a while. But I really like me some Shane Baz. Well, let's transition the show. Let's move on from injured guys to prospects. And the theme of the show is guys that you definitely should at least be thinking about stashing. And let's move on to the number one prospect in all of baseball. It's young Jackson Holliday. Matt, we may have beat this one to a pulp at this point. We've talked about Jackson Holliday so much. A little disappointed that he did not make the opening day roster. But you know what? It could just be, I always call, a Chris Bryant situation, because I remember when it happened with Chris Bryant, he literally took, I believe, legal action against the Cubs for what they did to him, because he claimed he was ready. There's no reason to hold him down. I think he did wind up losing the case. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong there, but it looks like, same thing. Chris Bryant got held down 2-3 weeks. They just want an extra year of control. I think the same thing happens with Jackson Holliday. It could be wrong. Depends how like Westberg, made the roster. Depends how he performs, other guys on that team. But spring training, Jackson Holliday, 15 games, 45 at bats, 6 runs, 3 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 2 steals, and he hit 311. I don't know what else the kid had to do to make the team, but in my opinion, he's going to be a 5-tool guy. His dad, Matt Holliday, former All-Star, has a younger brother who's going to be a star too. Runs in the bloodline. Jackson Holliday is going to be a superstar in this league. It's just a matter of when we see him. I think it's sooner than later, though.
I mean it's a complicated case because there's more than just hey they control the reason why they sent down. They had a valid excuse with I forgot what it was. I think with just not getting enough pop under the bat or something like that, or something defensively, but whatever. I'll fact check myself and get it back to you guys. They had a legitimate reason, and also too, I think they want to see how it plays out between him and Mayo. So like Mayo might make his way up too, and like it depends on what the spots are going to be available in the roster in order for him to make it. So a couple things have to come into play, right? Jackson Holliday has to correct whatever the reason why they sent him down. On top of that, he also has to outplay Mayo. And it comes down to if they're both playing really well, and you can say they're pretty much level play, who has more control options and what the options look like in order for the to see who's going to make the roster. So it's a weird thing. If you drafted him, you have no choice but to hold on to him. Do not drop him.
Yeah,
But if you
fully agree.
the other factor is if you see him on your waiver wire, I'm 100% adding him. He's available in 78% of leagues, which is mind-boggling to me. Like I can't believe you even dropped him. So or left a draft without him as even your last pick. Like Holiday is somebody definitely worth stashing in those regards. So definitely keep an eye on. I'd hold him for half a year if I had to, because the potential is limitless. But yeah, I'm not going to dig too much deeper on this because you know what? We have a whole bunch of other names to talk about, like Junior Caminero, James Wood, Pete Crow, and Ricky Tiedemann. A couple of these guys might even break camp or at least come up pretty quickly. So let's see what happens and let's talk about it, but right after this.
And guys, we're talking about Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. That's why you need to check out the Gametime app. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Using the Gametime app is super rewarding with flash deals and last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, images and views from the exact seats you'll be sitting in, lowest price guaranteed, and event cancellation protection. And guys, they have their all-in prices shown in your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets and the lowest price is always guaranteed. And all right, guys, so we got a few more prospects here for you. Let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about Junior Caminero. Honestly, another guy that I'm kind of shocked didn't make the opening day roster. But when you really think about it, okay, it's Tampa. Tampa is like notorious with this, with all of their prospects. They like to, kind of just sit back, let them develop, and throw them into the fire once they're ready. And with Caminaro, the whole thing was that even as a 19-year-old last year, the kid put up some monster numbers: 117 games, 460 at-bats, 85 runs, 18 doubles, 6 triples, 31 homers, 94 RBIs, 5 steals, 42 walks to 100 strikeouts, and he hit 324. I mean, there's a reason why Caminaro is one of the best prospects in the game right now. And the thing is, he's 6'1", 157, and he has that kind of pop. Puts on a little bit of muscle, doesn't even have to get crazy. Even if he gets up to like 170, 175, I mean, the dude 40 homers and like 25 steals with a solid batting average, and the runs and RBIs should be, good. Tampa's, always usually a pretty competitive team. I love me some Junior Caminaro this year, honestly. And let's check out that roster percentage. That's another one that's probably like super low at the moment after, he got announced not making the team. Actually, 42% for Junior Caminaro. So some people still out there holding. Honestly, I definitely would consider holding on to Caminaro. He's another one that maybe an injury, away, but Tampa likes to baby their guys, so I'm not sure on Caminaro. Maybe Matt has some more clarity for us. Matt, thoughts on Caminaro?
I mean, honestly, like Caminero is somebody that I'm holding for about, I'm gonna say, a month. And then if he's not called up in a month, I don't think he's coming up until, probably the end of June. And with that, it's a matter of how long do I want to have a roster clog? And from there, I just don't know. So it's a tricky situation. It could go two ways. It's not like he didn't perform. There's too many wide range of options. If you draft them, great. If he's on your waiver wire, add him. But the thing is, it's how long will he be there for, and what could you humanly do? End of the day, got to do it. But I'm going to move on because I think I'm talking in circles. I'm going to talk about James Wood. James Wood here, probably one of my favorite prospects. Big body dude. He's 6'6", 234 pounds. Literally gives me a good old fantasy Woody, and no pun intended. But I love the guy. This spring he really performed, but they sent him down. 44 at bats, 13 runs, a double, a triple, 4 bombs, 7 ribs, 3 stolen bases, walked 11 times to 3 strikeouts, and batted .364. His OPS was even ridiculous at a 1.213. James Wood really, really performed this year. He has 40 home run upside, 20 to 25 stolen base upside. Batting average definitely could be up there as well, at 275 to the wide range of like 300, depending on how he's feeling that year. James Wood, do I think he's going to get the call this year? I don't know. It's an interesting case with Washington. They have no real reason to call up anybody except for maybe the expiring Abrams deal of being cheap, and maybe we want to go for it, and start developing that team as a whole. Or they could just wait and bring him up in September, which that's what the Yankees did, right? They let Dominguez go 44 at bats, and then they didn't call him up till September either. So it's very up in the air with James Wood as well. He's not somebody I'm really like stashing right now. He's more of a watch list, and like set a reminder on your phone every week to just check updates and seeing what the team is thinking about him. I don't think I'm going to add him, but it's different than Caminero because Caminero even got a little shot last year in the bigs, whereas James Wood has not. So this smells more like a just Json Dominguez situation, or even an Ellie De La Cruz situation where he's even up in June. So I would keep an eye on him, and then if anything, add him in middle of May, and then drop him at the All-Star break if that's really where we're going to go. We talked about James Wood a lot this year.
Yeah, man, actually, really, really good take there on James Wood. You kind of pretty much said everything I was going to say as far as I think he's a September call-up. It depends where the Nationals really are. I don't see this team being very competitive. So as you said, really not a big reason to call him, but the talent for James Wood is so like enticing. Like, I don't know if you read off what he did this spring. Just monster numbers with the homers, and the walk to strikeout ratio was great. 11 walks to 13 strikeouts for the 21-year-old James Wood. Honestly, he just reminds me a lot of Aaron Judge with the 6'6" frame, 234. Honestly, in his prime, 50 home run upside. I think it's there. I just hope this Nationals team could really put a team around Woods and Abrams and Lane Thomas, and just really build around their young core going forward.
Well, they also
But let's
got
keep
Cruz in the farm.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, they have a couple of guys down there that are actually pretty good. I'm sure we'll be talking about them during the year. Let's move on. Maybe we got room for both. Maybe one. We'll see how things go. I want to talk about Ricky Tiedemann. I have to double check. I still don't think he officially got sent down yet. I think he's fighting. Yeah, Ricky Tiedemann is just so talented. Starting pitcher for the Blue Jays. He was like depending on where you look, like top 5 to top 3 starting pitching prospect in all of baseball. 6'4", 220, has really, really good stuff. Has been very successful. Down in the minors in his minor league career. Actually pitched great in the Arizona Fall League. Let's talk about that 2022 season for Tiedemann in the minors. 78 innings, 117 strikeouts, 2.17 ERA, 0.84 whip. The kid's got all the talent in the world. He's 20 years old. And I think last I had checked, he's still fighting for a spot in that Blue Jays rotation. Yeah, so he still has yet to get sent down. And honestly, I say pick him up now. Pick him up now, and just throw him on the back end of your roster. And guess what? Worst case scenario, you maybe have to drop him in a week or two. But if this guy makes the rotation, out of opening day, I'd put him over a lot of the pickups that are happening recently. I'm not going to get too specific. You got to join us on Subtext if you want all that. But Ricky Tiedemann, love him.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's somebody you need to rush to add if he does get the call. But Dom, you made a great point. Add him now because he is the most relevant. To be honest, out of all the names we talked about, he's probably up there in terms of top 3. Tiedemann, honestly, I feel like the only reason he's still up is because they're waiting to see how long Gosman's going to be out. And also, too, how is Kikuchi performing, and Bowden Franks. Like, those are the two he's got to beat out. And I think he could beat out both. So it's just really a matter more of, are they willing to roll him out there and give up the options? Or are they going to need him and it's going to be a necessity because Gosman's going to be out for a longer period of time because there's a lot of things going on with his shoulder injury right now.
Well, Gosman actually looked great. I don't know if you saw. He pitched the other day, and he 7 strikeouts, 4 innings, looked dominant.
Right. So, the thing is, he might go down and just miss the first round of the rotation to the lineup. But if there's any setbacks, Tiedemann instantly gets that call. So, if anything, he might break camp and be on the I got to spit this out quick. But the bench essentially, but not actually have a contract, whatever. But anyway, we're at the end of this, dude. Let's just get out of here.
Yeah, guys, that's all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And guys, until tomorrow, see you.
Peace.